Good afternoon, students. I would like to talk to you about assessment 3. This is teaching practice 4 for B8 foundation phase. Assessment 3 is also written as assessment 50 on your assessment shells. Let that not confuse you. They all refer to portfolio 50. So I would like us to talk about the portfolio 50 so that I clarify a few things, but you are still welcome to ask questions where you are not clear. I am your lecturer, Dr. Manyaka. You can see my face there. What are we going to talk about for assessment 3? We are going to look at the template itself for assessment 3 so that we could be able to go through it together. This assessment is for grade R and grade 1. You're going to spend 1 week in grade R, and you're going to spend another week in grade 1, and you complete the portfolio 50, which is assessment 50. There's been confusion on the lessons. After I've prepared 6 lessons for each grade, I realized it was a lot. I then reduced them to 5, only to find that the official study materials that were supposed to be on Moodle were already loaded. So I was able to change only on the assessment shells. So if you are downloading, you rather go and download from the assessment cells. But if you have already done 6 lessons, it's not a train smash, we will not penalize you. We'll still mark those lessons. So these are the lessons that you're going to be doing. It's 10, 5 in grade 1 and 5 in grade R. This is the first page that you get where it shows you what to expect, general information. I won't waste much time on it because we have quite a number of slides. These are your lecturers that have prepared these lessons for you. As you remember, the teaching practice modules are taken from your theory modules. In other words, you have learned about your subject or module, then you are going to take what you have learned and transfer it to the practical side, which is in the classroom. So your lecturers, we have got management in foundation phase is Dr. Ndo. We have got home language, which is Dr. Ngema. We have got first additional language, which is Ms. Ramukhopa. You have got foundation phase teaching is Professor Meyer, but she's now on study leave. I'm now the lecturer for that module. We have got science and technology is Ms. Karim. Then we have got foundation phase mathematics, which is now offered by Dr. Mampane. By doing so, I'm not saying you write emails to them. If you have an issue, you write to me. If I can answer it, maybe because it's not something I specialize in, I'm able to contact them on your behalf. I've already spoken about this. The structure of this assessment 50 or assessment 3 is you have 2 weeks in grade R for 1 week, and 2 weeks for the module, and 1 week in grade R and 1 week in grade 1. For the whole portfolio is 2 weeks. And that's what you are going to be doing. And this is full face-to-face in the classroom. You can't do this from home. The general rules are that you have only one mode of submission, which is online. Make sure that you submit your assessment as soon as you've completed your 5 weeks, if you are doing 5 weeks consecutively. If you decide to do assessment 50 for 2 weeks consecutively, and then we're going to do the other 3 weeks later, then it's best not to submit immediately because you need the 5 weeks on your register to be included. Also, remember this when you are submitting your assignment. Complete the general student information page. Write clearly. We prefer that you write them and not type, except for, I think I've got 2 or 3 students who have special needs that have to type. When you save, this is very important. Save with your student number, your surname, and your module code and assignment number. You might have created a folder, but make sure you are saving, follow this pattern. It's not compulsory. We do this because we know that when you are going to load, you might end up loading assessment 51 in the space for assessment 50, and you'll get 5%. We can't mark. So it's very important to save properly. When you upload, make sure you use the correct assignment number, which is we now call assessments. Use your correct student number. Ensure that the pages are clear. People have pages, their scripts because they failed. And it's so sad when you see the pages script, nothing was visible. As much as you would like to mark, we would like to be able to read. You may not upload MS Word or a zipped file. You must use the accepted PDF format and upload. Check the system to establish the size of the document. But now that we are on Moodle, the size is quite generous, but just make sure. And make sure that you keep a copy, please, of your assignment. There's no way you cannot have a copy because you are loading on the system, but make sure that it's kept safe somewhere. Don't submit through the post. We haven't been receiving anything from the post since 2020, and it was going to happen even before we were hit by COVID-19. So this is non-negotiable. If you submit an incorrect assessment or portfolio to us, you are going to get 0%. The system doesn't allow a 0. You're going to give you a 5%. The ECE department does not provide for module rollover anymore. Some people will say we need rollover or we need supplementary. Portfolio-based assessments do not have a supplementary, and there's no rollover. It only happened once in 2020, 2021. Make sure that you fill in your examination book, meaning that you must answer the questions in the space provided. This is not an exam, we call it an examination book because a portfolio is an exam in this case. Make sure you use the space allocated. Some of you come back and say, I have a huge handwriting. We don't want you to write everything that you taught, but summarize it in a way that will have a clear view of what had happened in the classroom. I usually give an example that you must prepare your lesson in a way that if for a reason there's an emergency, I don't know what example I can give. Maybe you have an upset stomach. Your colleague should be able to take your lesson plan, taking it that you do a lesson plan before you go to the classroom. They can take it and go and run your lesson for you. This is how we are going to understand it. You might be very good and the supervisor might give you a distinction, but we must see the actual work in your portfolio to know that this person has done this work excellently in the classroom or to the best of their ability. Right. Also, try to complete your portfolio as is. Do not redesign. What do we mean by redesigning? There are students who print out the portfolio or change it to Microsoft Word, and they start changing the format or the template as is. The danger is you're going to end up leaving out important information. Let's say, for instance, on your register, you leave out the declaration. Without the declaration, there's nobody who's vouching you out that you have done your work. So just make sure that you leave the template as is. Remember to make backups for your work. We're not going to be able to accept things like my phone was stolen or my laptop crashed or all my files got corrupt. Make sure you have sufficient information somewhere else that will be able to help you if something happens. If, for instance, you say, I have submitted, but you guys says I didn't submit this assessment, you should be able to draw proof from the system. So when you submit, make sure that you save or take a screenshot of your confirmation, because that will show what date you submitted. We never have such problems, but we just want you to have the backup should anything untoward happens. Right. This is the student general information section. You must provide all information that has been asked. Your surname, your postal address, email address, use my life, contact details, etc. Make sure that you sign at the end and you write your name. This is the declaration that you're going to find. This is the first declaration. If it is incomplete, we are going to allocate 0. So here you are declaring that this is your own work. We are doing this from experience, and it has been added on purpose because we did receive portfolios that were not students' work. People had sold this to students. Please do not be tempted. Here you are declaring that all your photos or ideas have been used by you, and I have kept my workbook for safekeeping, etc., etc. And at the end, you sign. This is also the declaration form. I'm not sure if we included all this. Yes, this one is where you are declaring that you didn't commit any plagiarism. You followed all the policies, one for plagiarism, one for academic integrity, and also the student disciplinary code. I'll check if I've loaded them. If I haven't, I will do so. Don't be surprised we are using the same templates, but your book has got the correct code up here. And then this is the lesson plan. I'm not going to go deeper into it, but I would like you to make sure that you understand what the lesson plan requires. For the sake of time, I won't get so much into it. I've also loaded the lesson plan recording that we did last year. I'll still do Microsoft meeting so that you can ask questions where we'll discuss the lesson plan. There, the first part is your information and the grade and date that you are going to write the lesson plan about. Also the content area, the subject, the type of lesson. Here you need to scratch out the ones that you didn't use. If it was a class lesson, you'll scratch out the group work or the outdoor or field work, and you indicate the theme of the week. Just look at what we did on the learning outcome. We wanted you to be guided Your learning outcomes should always be action-based. In other words, it must be measurable. Don't think about the whole grade or the whole syllabus. Think of what is it that you want to achieve in that 20 to 30 minutes lesson. And it must be an action. You can only know that the learners have been able to grasp what you are teaching by measuring it. So if it's a sound that you want them to make at the end of the lesson, you should say at the end of the lesson, the learners should be able to, and you put that action. And then the concepts. I see a lot of students struggle to indicate the concepts. Each lesson that you are teaching, you are bringing in new concepts, lesson concepts. So in other words, you should be able to say, what are the concepts that you're going to teach? If you are able to reason out, or you know what concepts they are, you shouldn't have a problem to write them down. What are those concepts that you're going to teach based on the curriculum? Also, we find a lot of problems when it comes to differentiation. What we want to know here is that in your classroom, we are also teachers. We know that your learners don't have the same level of grasping information. Their learning abilities are different. Others are going to be faster in understanding. Others are average. Others are going to take a slower pace. So what we are saying is that, how are you going to accommodate those that are going to be easily bored because they grasp the new lesson quicker? At the same time, those that are going to need more time, how are you going to accommodate them? Usually when we plan our lesson, we plan for the average students or learners. But what you should do is that at the end of the day, you should make sure that you have included everyone. This is where the issue of inclusivity come in. Even those that cannot see from far, you can explain how you're going to make sure that your resources accommodate those learners. So you have a lot that you can write on this section. The introduction of the lesson, I always advise that for the learners to be able to be interested and to be able to remember, link the new lesson to what they already know. They might know it because it's a theme, it's following what was taught before. If not, it's a complete theme altogether. There must be something that the learners come. They are not tabula rasa. They don't come being blank slates. There's something that they know. Let's say, for instance, you want to teach about the weather. You can ask them to look outside and ask, how is the weather outside? Or why, if it's winter, why are we all wearing warm clothes? That's the knowledge that they have. You are easing them into the new knowledge. On the body of the lesson, that's where you're going to give us the crux of what you're going to teach. You are going to explain, if it's a story, you'll explain maybe that you'll first read the story, or if it's the story that you read together, you summarize step by step what you have done. And then you consolidate. Conclusion, that's not where you are going to bring new matters. You are just going to consolidate what you have taught, either by summarizing the whole lesson or by asking questions. That's where you are consolidating. Then the assessments is easier. You explain, it asks you, how did you assess? Did you do self-assessment? Did you do peer assessment? Don't forget to tick whatever is relevant in your case. It's very important. I'll just go straight to the student reflection. You should be able to reflect about the lesson. How do you think the lesson went? What can you do better? And then learning resources are very important. Some students don't understand what we need in this section. What we need is for you to take a picture of the resources that you used. Remember, you use those resources to make sure that learning becomes impactful. So what are those resources that you use? You plug them here so that we have a picture of what happened in the classroom. The teacher evaluation form, I won't say much about it, but just make sure that the teacher evaluate. I know they might complain that it's a lot of work, but use your personal skills to persuade them to complete the teacher evaluation form. The attendance register. Here we expect to have all your details up there, and then you complete all the weeks or that you went to. I think it should be 5 weeks. You complete the dates there are 5. And then here, please let the principal or head of department complete. Do not do it yourself. And make sure that they wrote a full date. Do not write an incomplete date. And you know what the reason is? Is that we want to make sure that you were at that school within the year of registration, because we have seen many fraudulent behaviors. Someone might be repeating, they might take last year's workshops and try and patch, but we try also to change the lessons so that it's a new work altogether. The supervisor section in your assessment 50 looks like this. The name of supervisor and all these details are very important. And then here the signature of a supervisor is needed and a signature of the mentor. It might look like it's a lot, but remember, we get audited. When the auditors come, they must be convinced that we have closed all gaps. This is the confirmation of teaching practice placement. This is the space in your assessment 50. We are going to attach the confirmation letter there. And this is the completed attendance register that I showed you. This is fine. You will attach. And then let's look at the penalties for teaching practice. Let's not look at this module as a module where we want to trap people. It really hurts us when you fail. We are here to help you to pass so that you can be able to contribute to your family and the country at large, so that you become a statistic of those people who are employed. Why I'm emphasizing this is that at the end of the day, lecturers always seem like people who want you to fail. You will be penalized for not attaching a register in your portfolios. Do not say I've attached on my assessment 2. When you load assessment 2 on its portal, and assessment 50 on its portal, and assessment 51 on its portal. So we do not cross-check. The system doesn't allow it. It's not something that you can page back and say, let me see if there's a register in assessment 2 or in assessment 50 while you are making 51. It's not like that. When you do a wrong submission, believe you me, sometimes we get salary slips, we get death certificates or birth certificates instead of submitting the correct document. How do you make sure you submit, you do the right submission? You save, as I had advised at the beginning, to make sure that you have your surname, name, your student number, assessment number, so that when you are going to load, you know you have the correct one. But even before you do that, open it just to make sure, for in case you have saved wrongly. We also have a fraudulent signatures that can give you a fail completely. In other words, your signature should be authentic. What is an authentic signature? It must have been signed properly. It mustn't be a cut and paste. If there's no school stamp, this is a given. Then it means we are not sure if you've been to the school. It's like when you go to an affidavit at the post office or at the police station, they do stamp with the correct date. If you have in or incomplete dates, like you have just written from April, there's no year, there's no way you can pass the module. We are going to penalize you and give you 5%. Some of these things are not there in your portfolios. Hence, we have this. This is our classroom. This is our platform where we teach you. Don't say, I didn't see it in my booklet. If we included everything, the booklet will be so big. But some of the things, we include them here. And if we see something that has been left out, we do include it in our announcements. All those platforms are our classroom because you don't have the luxury of a face-to-face classroom. This marks the end of our presentation, and I'm going to end with this quotation. Success is no accident. It is hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, love of what you are doing or learning to do. This is by Pele. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best. I trust that you are going to do the best for you to pass this module, and I'm here for you at any time. Thank you.